My name is Greg Knight, and isn't it interesting that we have two utilities here sort of kicking off the meeting? Because I don't think you would quite expect what you're going to see from utilities in terms of what we have to share. Gail certainly was in lighting. I'm going to share sort of a different story about CenterPoint Energy's journey. First, I want to talk to you a little bit about who we are, because I think that adds some really important context. We are largely located in the south central region of the United States. We are a gas and electric combo utility. We're the third largest in the United States. And what's really interesting about our company is we have a very mixed portfolio of regulated and non-regulated assets. So this creates a very complicated challenge for us when we think about re-engineering the customer experience, because it's not just about the regulated and it's not just about the unregulated, but we got to do it in a way that makes sense for customers that are overlapping these businesses, because customers can have relationships with our regulated and our unregulated businesses as well. So before I get started, I always like to show this, because rather than me tell you what we're facing as an industry, I think it's better for me to show you. So I'm going to play a video for you.
CenterPoint Energy, with the support of a grant from the U.S. Department of Energy, is building an advanced smart grid in the central part of Houston. Imagine a day when, for those living in the area, a storm knocks out power to an entire neighborhood. But many of the customers get service restored automatically in a few minutes, rather than the 1 or 2 hours it takes today. Let's back up and take a look at how CenterPoint Energy's smart grid of the future will change that experience. Electric outages typically occur when equipment like transformers, poles, or power lines are damaged. Depending on the location and extent of the damage, hundreds or even thousands of people might be affected. CenterPoint Energy also often doesn't know that power is out until it's reported, and until the company can find the problem, repairs can't begin. Meanwhile, customers are left waiting. But in the future, smart meters and sensors along power lines will automatically detect and report most outages without the need for a single phone call. Wherever possible, the smart grid will then isolate the problem and reroute the power around it. This will reduce the length of the outage and the number of people affected. Customers whose power isn't automatically rerouted will still benefit from future smart grid technology. Working seamlessly with our smart meters, the smart grid will identify with greater accuracy the location of the damage of certain outages. It will then determine the most likely cause and locate the nearest repair crew with the right equipment for the job. The system will then dispatch that crew to the scene. Meanwhile, customers have been notified that their power is out if they've signed up to receive text, phone, or email updates. They can also learn how long the company believes it will take to get their power back on. When the power is restored, customers are again notified. Faster restoration means the kids can return to their favorite show sooner, and the store owner is back in business in minutes, not hours. And if a longer outage is anticipated, customers can be appropriately notified. The smart grid of the future will also include advanced diagnostic capabilities, which should help prevent problems before they happen. So, imagine the day when you'll hardly notice there's been an outage at your home, or the day when outages you do notice are restored more quickly. And imagine the day when some outages are prevented because equipment was replaced before it caused your home to go dark. Welcome to our smart energy future.
So I'm not Disney, but this was certainly Harry Potter for us when we developed this vision probably a little bit over 6 years ago. And I will tell you, this video was developed to create a vision for our entire company. And like Ingrid referred to, we had support all the way at the top. In fact, this was spurred by a $200 million grant from the Obama administration. And so imagine being the customer leader that's got to come in and transform a utility culture to deliver this. I'm happy to say we are delivering this today. If you live in Houston, Texas, exactly what you saw is what our customers get today. So to just talk a little bit about what's behind that. Obviously, customer expectations are changing. I don't think anyone didn't talk about that. But if you think about where we started, I think you heard Gail talk about something similar in our industry. Very reactive, very sort of event-driven industry. Your power goes out, you contact us, right? You have a billing problem, you contact us. And while safety and reliability is always going to be our core tenet, we often refer to our customers as ratepayers, quite candidly. And we had to bring the customer name back into the framework. And quite candidly, many of you in your organizations have been pressuring us to transform the way that we think about how we deliver for our consumers. Now, my responsibility as a leader of sales, marketing, and customer service goes much further than the contact center. But I have to acknowledge that the contact center plays a very important role into what we've defined that CenterPoint Energy has to do to be successful, and that is preserve and enhance our brand. And you'll see many of these are probably very familiar to you. So in order to be successful, we think that we need to deepen relationships with the customers that we have and retain them. We need to acquire new customers. We need to actually take advantage of new sources of revenue with new products and services for our customers. And then obviously we need to continue to deliver superior customer satisfaction. And I would say that we're probably doing that. In fact, CenterPoint Energy for the last 4 consecutive years has been ranked the #2 U.S. investor-owned utility by the American Customer Satisfaction Index and Customer Satisfaction. And we consistently rank top quartile in J.D. Power. So we weren't necessarily starting from a tough place, but rallying your whole organization around how to do this, how to digitalize, how to personalize, how to monetize is no small feat for anyone. I don't care if your company's customer focused or not. If you think about this eye chart here that I show sometimes, this is most of the channels that I'm responsible for. I think the only channel that I'm not responsible for here would be the service, the field service folks. So if you think about all of these touch points touching the customers, the red dots that you see, that's only really the call center and the digital channels that really support the call center. There's social media, there's all of these other types of things that we have to contend with. And one of the challenges that when we set out to re-engineer our customer experience, we had to think about an omni-channel experience for our customers that worked consistently across all these journeys that a customer might be on to deliver that single brand experience. And what I just really want to underscore for you that for me, the customer experience is really about the brand. And if I turn it around, what I would tell you is that a brand is just a collection of all the memories that a customer has with your company, whether that's with a person or whether that's with one of your technologies, right? So what was our catalyst for change? You already saw that we were deploying smart meters. You saw our vision around the smart grid. We did have a customer vision. We've been very focused on driving low effort interactions for our customers. So going on year 4, we've been measuring an effort score for our customer as well as other metrics, but we've really consolidated a re-engineering strategy around being easy to do business with, because we think for an energy company, the closest correlation to customer satisfaction with our customers would be, are we easy to do business with? And then, we talked a little bit about choice yesterday that many of you face, but that's an emerging threat for utilities too. Think about solar. Think about the Tesla battery wall. Think about microgrids and some of these other technologies that are coming into our environment that will give consumers the ability to make choices to move potentially off the grid or to sort of disenfranchise or disintermediate how we make money in our earnings stream. So this is some of what's also behind utilities re-engaging their consumers. If you think about the guiding principles that we set out, we put them under a brand called Customer One. And the customer is going to be number one. And the key focus was omni-channel personalization, obviously. Customer empowerment. We wanted customers to feel empowered. We wanted to be proactive. And then we wanted to have that consistency, and we wanted to be simpler in terms of how customers do business with us. And we started out without this sort of today and tomorrow look. We were going to go from X to Y. And then we rallied our whole organization around it, whether you're talking about our operations technology team, which we did change the name of IT within our company from information technology to operations technology. We reorganized my organization and put customer service, sales, and marketing under one leader and did some other things to just make sure that we were also optimizing the people part of our business. Because one of the most important things that we have to underscore is that, we can deploy all the technology that we'd like to, but if the people aren't with us, we won't succeed. There was a cartoon strip that I ran across one day when I was sort of trying to really get my people motivated about this, and this was the leadership level, because I probably wouldn't have told this to my frontline employees, but it was a cartoon that said, a fool with the tool is still a fool. Now, I didn't want to tell the frontline employee that because I didn't want them to think I was calling them a fool, but if you really think about it, if you give people the tools but you don't equip them with the knowledge and skill sets to use the tools, then what have you really accomplished? So we can't forget about the people part of this. Now, when we talked about our customer one and re-engineered our process, we did a wholesale change out of most of our technology in the contact center. And many of the partners that are affiliated with this organization today were a part of that, whether we're talking about Genesis or other partners. So we could think about boiling the ocean for all of these businesses that we had, or we could really focus on what we called our Super 8 processes. And these Super 8 processes really consolidate down to what would really be the 80-20 of our business. So many of you think about what drives phone calls into your contact centers, high bills. We heard Sears talk about the service order experience. We have to go make a visit to a customer's home. Because of our regulated business, the rules in terms of when we can turn a customer off for non-pay sort of change when it gets cold, when we have cold weather rules. And then there are other things. Our HSP is called Home Service Plus. That's our repair business, and it's an unregulated business. And then we have customers with new service. That's what move in, move out is. So rather than focus on boiling the ocean, we took our Super 8 processes and really focused on a strategy to really differentiate the experience across those 8 processes. Now, when we started out, you just kind of get a look at some of our baseline of our metrics. So this was the business case that I had to take to our executive committee in terms of how we would pay for the capital that we were investing in these new applications. And if you think about it from a utility perspective, again, Ingrid was right. Everything is not right for every customer, but when we deploy capital as regulated utilities, our regulators have to approve that capital. And we have a contract with regulators that whatever we do is going to be prudent. We don't have the luxury to invest $60 million in capital in a customer application and have it fail. That would make headlines, and then you as consumers would end up reading about it in your newspaper because that flows to your rates. So there is almost a higher burden for a regulated utility to demonstrate a payback when we invest this level of capital around a customer re-engineering exercise. I just tried to highlight some of the key metrics that you recognized in terms of how you run some of your businesses, and then you kind of see the targets were what we set out to achieve in terms of areas of improvement for us. You saw IVR containment. Look at how long it took us to train our agents. And this wasn't even a universal agent. Maybe just an agent taking a gas and an electric call was taking as many as 40 days to train because of the processes and because of the systems. So imagine the efficiency associated with that. Our voice of the customer score was based on a scale of 5 being best. We were getting 3.5, which wasn't that bad when you think about the fact that you have to disconnect customers when they don't pay their bill. And you think about the fact that we have to serve everyone in the community. We don't get to pick and choose as utilities. So this was basically our strategy. So for each of the Super 8 processes, these descriptors followed each of the Super 8 processes. We wanted to be proactive in digital. We wanted to make sure that the customer had some self-service options, and we wanted to contain them in the channel that they started in. We heard Sears talk about that. We didn't want to leave out the agent and the skilling and the routing piece because how we route and who we route to is very important. Although we were going to a universal contact center with our new Genesis platform, we know that you never quite get to a truly universal contact center strategy. The agent interaction was very important because that's the people piece that I talked about. And then box 5 is really the consultation and the offer. Now, this is a service offer. So does a customer, are they appropriate for an e-bill offer? Are they appropriate for extensions or arrangements so we don't have to disconnect their power? Or is it in our regulated business where the customer should be eligible for a repair plan based on some time and material activity that they have on their account? And then finally, making sure that we have the appropriate wrap-up. This is just a little bit of insight in terms of when we were going in, kind of thinking about the voice of the customer in our engineering exercise. If we looked at outage, this is what was happening, okay? So if you think about our customers in terms of how many times they had to call when they had an outage, we had customers calling more than once. Nearly 40% of our customers were calling more than once to report an outage. Gail talked about that yesterday, right? And depending upon how long that power's out, you exponentially increase those number of phone calls. When Hurricane Ike hit Houston several years ago, we lost 97% of our utility customers. And Houston is the fourth largest city in the United States. So imagine what that must have been like for our organization to deal with. Imagine the number of phone calls that we probably got with customers wondering how long power was out. And it took us up to 14 days to get everyone restored. So that's some significant impact to our customers. And then when you think about the channel that they chose to report their outage, 57% of the customers actually had to talk to an agent. So that's no good. Now, when we think about the voice of the customer on our electric side, we weren't doing that bad. 70% of our customers, what we say, were satisfied. But we did have some processes where customers certainly wanted a little bit more. And rather than tell you, I'd rather just let you hear in the customer's eyes what they were telling us.
Yes, this is the second time our electricity has went off in the neighborhood in the last 2 weeks. And both times it's been serious for us because right now we're going on 3 hours. And the last time I talked to somebody, they said it was going to come on at 12:27, and that's when I was talking with it. It was 12:28, so we know that didn't happen. And then they told me it was an inline fuse, and it should be pretty quick beyond, but they couldn't give me an exact time it would be back on. That was the last call I had. My problem is my wife is on oxygen, and I'm on reserve tanks now, and I need electricity to get her machines so they're running. But nobody can tell me when they're going to have my electricity back on. Very unhappy with the service that I've got today.
So imagine dealing with that
And
experience
I hope it gets resolved soon.
with a customer. This is what our gas customers tell
I
me.
was disappointed that the request that I'd made to get my gas switched on was not carried through correctly, even though I made it clear that the house was left unlocked, and apparently that message did not arrive to the operator doing the job. So my confidence in Centerpoint has gone down. But anyway, I hope that it will get resolved today, and that the customer representative I spoke to was very helpful and very positive. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
So taking this feedback, we shared this with pretty much everybody in the organization in terms of what we needed to do to improve. So this is what the new IVR experience sounds like.
Hi, good evening. This is Centerpoint Energy. We're aware your power went out at approximately 1 p.m. today because of heavy wind and rain. Crews have been sent out for repairs. We expect power in your area will be restored by 9 p.m. tonight. Follow updates on this outage on Twitter at CNP Alerts or on our online energy tracker at centerpointelectric.com. You can say, repeat that. Otherwise, would you like us to contact you if the status changes?
Yes,
Great. By text or a phone call?
by text.
Okay. Should I text you at this number?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. You can say, here outage details again. What should I do during an outage? Or if that's all, just hang up.
So you see that totally different experience based on that customer feedback. This is a
Centerpoint Energy.
disconnect experience.
Michael, I've matched your telephone number. Can you just tell me your house number for verification?
642.
Thanks. It looks like your gas service was disconnected due to non-payment. Would you like me to help you get that turned back on?
Yes, please.
Sure. Since your service would be a standard reconnection, we would have it turned back on for you as early as the end of the day. You would need to make a payment for your overdue fees, as well as a standard reconnection fee of $22.50. Then I can set up a time for the technician to come out. Would you like to make a payment now?
Yeah.
So proactive. The customer, the IVR recognizes the customer doesn't have to do very much.
Great. You'd need to make a payment of $219.75, which includes your overdue balance of $197.25 and the reconnection fee of $22.50. Is that all right?
Yes.
And would you like to use your Visa card on file ending in 4625?
Yeah.
All right. That's $219.75 on your Visa card. Should I go ahead and submit this?
Yes.
Great. I submitted your payment. Now, we just need to set up a time for a technician to come out to turn on your service. Someone over the age of 18 will need to be home during the visit. So, what time typically works best for you? Morning, afternoon, or evening?
Morning.
Okay, the first appointment we have available is tomorrow morning from 8 to noon. Does that work?
Yes.
All right, all set. A technician will be out in the morning between 8 and noon and will need access to your home to make sure the service has been reconnected. Is there anything else I can help you with?
No.
All right, thanks so much for calling CenterPoint Energy. Have a great afternoon. Goodbye.
So this is actually what the IVR sounds like today. And if you notice, the customer didn't have to say all these extra numbers because it was predictive, it was proactive. What's sitting behind our IVR is not just a natural language IVR, but it's a very sophisticated predictive analytics engine sitting on application by SAP called HANA that takes unstructured data and does in-memory computing to bring back several attributes of data in real time so that we can predict what the customer may be wanting, or so just so we can eliminate a lot of the sort of uncomfortableness in terms of the call flows. Last, I just want to talk about the agent experience. So our agents were working out of 3 screens. The first screen is our electric. The second screen would be our appliance business. The third screen would be our gas business. So we weren't going to improve the agent experience if we didn't give them better tools. So if you start thinking about omni-channel, the digital channels can't be great, and then your agents are still trying to figure that out. When we took our business case to our executive committee, guess what? We took them a picture of what you see CIS, our electric system. Who was in the White House when that system was put in? Ronald Reagan. So that convinced them we probably needed to make some enhancements. This is what the screens look like now. So you take all of those 3 screens at the bottom, and so now all of those same business processes are done in that one common screen for our agents. Okay, so that's the people part that we didn't want to mistake. These are the alerts that the agents get using our predictive analytics engine. Our engine will actually go into the different applications and actually tell our agents why the customer's calling, about high bills. It will give them lots of information that they need to better service the customer so that that channel consistency across digital and agent actually comes to fruition. And then this is the offer screens, the recommendations for our agents as well. And then just to kind of wrap it up, here's what we actually achieved. So after we put in our implementation, we far exceeded our business case objectives because of this technology. It was digitized, it was personalized, and this is where the monetization shows up, right? So think about the occupancy increases that we were able to make. Think about the IVR containment increases. And all of that translates into monetization and the bottom line. And so in closing, this is just really our 4 cornerstone of focus that we have at CenterPoint Energy is focus on what customers value: time, money, preferences, and me. And with that, I'm done.